Great! Welcome everyone to this new episode of the Business Chat. Today I'm hosting Julie Dennis. Welcome, Julie, and thank you
Hello.
so much for being here with me today.
My pleasure.
If you have never seen me, my name is Alessia and I'm a tech expert and online business strategist. And I'm so excited to introduce Julie because Julie is on a mission to take menopause mainstream. So she helps busy professional women to cool down, calm down, and break through the brain fog of menopause. And she also works with organizations to improve the experience of women struggling with menopause in the workplace and at home. So this is really important topic that not always is being really covered. You don't really hear often about it, right?
No, you don't. And it's ridiculous really, because 100% of women are going to go through menopause. So we need to start talking about it. Although it may not feel like it, it's an entirely natural and normal process. And women need to talk about it more to feel more comfortable about it. Girls get educated about the beginning of fertility at school. So why aren't we educating them about the end of fertility too? I think it's really important that we talk about menopause as much as possible. And that's certainly what I do.
That's great. That's really, I think it's really important because, even though, menopause isn't really affecting directly myself at this stage, but once I started to recognize the patterns in my behavior and how my hormones were affecting my productivity, and I started to understand how to make the best out of those really energetic periods of time, then everything shifted, and also the concept of productivity kind of readapted, because it's more about following how my body feels rather than following precisely a productivity method or strategy.
Absolutely. And as you know, as business owners and entrepreneurs, we're really fortunate that we can manage our energy and our productivity in that way, depending on how our hormones are impacting us. But of course, if you're an employee and you're working in the workplace, it's a lot more difficult to go for a nap at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or start the day a bit later. So that's why it's really important for organizations to understand what's going on and look at flexible working options and what else that they can be doing to support midlife employees.
That's great. But I'm curious to know, how did this business venture start? What happened in your past that led you to this?
Yeah, so actually I'm 47 now, but my menopause story started in my early 30s with a hysterectomy. So I went on to HRT very quickly after the operation and then went back to work. So at the time I was working in a big global mining company, Rio Tinto. So my headline is mining to menopause, another M word. Went back to work, recovered from surgery, and didn't really think much about it until about 12 or 13 years later. I was made redundant and given the opportunity really to do something completely different with my life. And I thought, do you know what? I don't want to go back to working in London. Don't particularly want to work in a corporate environment any longer, although of course now I am again, but at the time didn't want to. So I decided to look at the health and wellness field. I was really interested in fitness and taking care of myself. So originally I qualified as a personal trainer and nutrition advisor, specifically working with women over 40. Women like me who, wanted to lose a bit of weight, but not too much, be kind of healthy, but not super healthy, and just generally feel good and confident about themselves. And it was great. It was all going really well. That was back in 2013. And what was starting to happen was I was starting to get questions about menopause from my clients, and I didn't have the answers. Because I was taking HRT, I'd naively assumed it was a cure for menopause and hadn't really thought much about it. But as I went off to do some research for my clients, what I realised was that HRT is a top-up really. It's holding your symptoms at bay. And when you come off it, your symptoms are likely to reappear anyway. So I decided to come off my HRT. Over a period of 6 months or so, I gradually decreased my dosage. And oh my God, menopause hit me like a truck. It was awful, Alessia, absolutely awful. The hot flushes, the bad sleep, the mood swings, the night sweats, kind of overwhelming sense that I didn't feel like myself anymore. Fortunately, over a period of a few months, I was able to make some changes to the way that I eat, drink, move and think. And I'm currently managing my menopause symptoms naturally. And that's what I show other women as private individuals how to do. For women who can't go on HRT, maybe because of their medical history, or choose not to, for whatever reason. But then, of course, when I'm working in the workplace, what I do is talk to women about the options that they have, the choices, you know, because menopause it's a unique experience, and you've got to make your own personal choice as how you want to manage your symptoms, whether you want to go down the natural route or medical route. And neither is right or wrong. They're both right. Whichever one works for you well is the one that's right for you. Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell, mining to menopause.
But this is really interesting. And I also really like how you, like what you mentioned, that the natural or medical way, it's, you know, neither of them it's right or wrong. It's just how it feels right for you, and how
Absolutely.
it feels better for your own body and general experience.
Yeah, it's not about telling women what they should be doing. It's about telling them what they can be doing so they can go off and make their own choices. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now you are also offering like your assistance to big companies and corporations to assist women in like going through the menopause in the workspace. And this is really interesting because I think it's a different approach you offer when you have like individual women and then in the workplace as
Yeah. So by approaching women in the workplace, you can reach a lot more women in one go. And, you know, so many more women are working these days. The average age of menopause is 51. About 1 in 3 of the population in the UK is over the age of 50, 1 in 3 women. And there's a lot more older women working in the workplace. And that number is going to continue to rise as the retirement age continues to increase. So it's important that employers understand how to support their midlife employees. Because in the past, they haven't really had to worry about it. The majority of women would have retired early, maybe weren't even working at all. But now there's so many more women in the workplace who are working longer and working in more senior positions. Organisations need to understand how to support them in the same way that they understand now how to support women who are starting a family, for example, and the impact that can have on their career. So it's about education for both the employers and the women themselves, and about reasonable adjustments. You know, menopause isn't about singling out women for special treatment. It's an inclusive subject. Everyone should know what's going on. And I think it's important to bring the guys and the younger women into the conversation too.
That's great. And I think what I imagine it's also quite interesting is, like you said, bringing together like both younger women and older women and also men to talk about this, because it kind of has always been a bit of a taboo topic. But the reality is, like you said, that it's something completely natural. And I believe maybe some women don't even want to talk about it and feel kind of ashamed.
That's it. Unfortunately, some women do feel awkward and embarrassed about it. And it is really unfortunate, because if you can't ask for help, then you're not going to get any. You know, we need to get used to saying the word menopause. And in fact, I delivered a workshop to lawyers in London on Tuesday, earlier this week. And I challenged the women to try and say menopause at least once every day in the office. And there was a lot of laughter and shifting of seats. But it'll be interesting to see if some of them do. And it's just getting used to saying that word out loud. And the more you say it, the easier it is to say it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess also when you start to understand, for example, the mood swings are related to the hormonal changes, and that it's, you know, all natural, I think it's also easier to have maybe a better communication and relationship with other people.
Absolutely. You know, you've got to accept what's going on rather than fighting against it. And once you understand something, it's a lot easier to cope with it and learn to manage it. And you can, you know, make a difference quite quickly to your symptoms. Simply by giving up caffeine can make a massive difference to things like brain fog and not being able to sleep and mood swings and a kind of general grumpiness. So there's very small changes that you can make that will make a very big difference quite quickly.
Great. Interesting how you know, the caffeine affects them, you know, so much, because usually we take caffeine to be more active and do more.
That's it. You think it's perking you up, but it only perks you up briefly, you know, and caffeine's a drug. So you get stuck in this addiction cycle with it, where you're tired, so you have some caffeine and it perks you up, and then you get even tireder, so you have more caffeine. But if you can break that cycle, your body is a lot happier, because caffeine puts such a huge amount of stress on it, and you just become, it's much easier to manage your symptoms, and your energy levels are higher in the long run without caffeine than they are with it.
Wow, really interesting, really,
Mm-hmm.
really interesting. And what is the big lesson, like the biggest lesson you've learned so far in your journey as an entrepreneur?
I think it's got to be consistency. You know, so obviously my business has changed a couple of times. I was doing personal training and weight loss, and now I've moved into menopause. You've got to be 100% consistent with your messaging. Otherwise people get confused about what it is that you do. And you've got to be absolutely consistent in your promotion of your business. And sometimes you think, oh God, another post about what I'm doing. I must be boring everyone else to death. But actually, most of them aren't seeing what you're doing. You know, so much in the age of digital media, everything flies by so fast. People are missing a lot of the great content that you're sharing. So be consistent and be out there every day, and be loud and proud about what you're doing and your achievements. Yeah. What do you think? What do you find is
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with you. And the thing is that it is complicated to be consistent. Because just yesterday, and I don't want to hide it, just yesterday was a really terrible day. I felt so frustrated.
Low energy. Yeah.
I felt really frustrated with my marketing. I felt like I had no direction, and today I already feel much better. I feel more confident. I'm feeling much happier and ready to prepare more content. But yesterday it was just, oh my God, no, again.
I know. That's the life of an entrepreneur, isn't it? Either everything's amazing or everything's like, oh my God, I've made a huge mistake. I need to go and get a job again. Yeah.
But I completely agree that, even though there are these days, it's normal. You know, sometimes it's just like that.
Yeah.
It's just
and because, you know, somebody like you, because you're an expert in scheduling, so your content's out there anyway. So despite the fact that you weren't feeling great yesterday, I still saw your posts online because you've scheduled them all. So you've got the stuff pumping out, which means if you are having a bad day, you're still showing up.
Yeah, absolutely. But consistency, it's a big one, and it's something that I think the most frustrating thing is that you may not see results immediately. So you really need to be focused that, okay, I know that even if I don't see results now, it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I agree. It's a long game. You know, you see so many posts online about, oh, I made £27,000 in my first week. And it's like, really? I didn't even make that in my first year, you know, and don't be put off. Those people are not the usual ones. For most of us, it takes a lot longer, and you've got to sit it out and wait and be patient and be consistent and believe in what you're doing. Yeah.
That's great. And I'm curious to ask you, how does the next level in your business look like for you?
Okay, so I'm very much focusing on working with organisations. So the next level of my business I'm looking at is almost like an agency model, where I'm working with so many different organisations that I've got a kind of an army of menopause warriors working on my behalf, going out to help deliver the content and support the women in the organisations. So it's not just about me going out and doing all the work. I've got a team who are helping me to do that, other menopause experts. Yeah.
That's really interesting and like ambitious in a way, but really impactful. So having an army.
Yeah, my menopause army. Yeah,
exactly. Menopause army helps you really a lot to reach much more people, and maybe even have like public events.
That's it, because you know, menopause isn't going away. It's going to become more and more visible, not less visible. So we need to be out there dealing with it and not be frightened of it.
Great, that's really interesting. And like, when would you like? Are you already working towards this goal?
Yeah, I am. So I'm already making contacts with people who are working in my field. You know, there aren't many of us doing it, but I'm networking with them and supporting them and checking out what they're doing, seeing if their messaging is aligned with mine, and drawing up a potential list of people that I could work with in the future. Yeah,
that's great. That's great. So little steps to get there.
Yeah, small steps, small consistent steps. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I have one last question for you. What's your favorite resource or book you would like to share?
Okay. Yeah, so you asked me to think about this one, which is great. So I've got two actually, if you don't mind. And the first one is a podcast. So I still like to run a lot, and I tend to do interval training at the gym on the running machines. And while I'm doing it, I listen to podcasts. And one of the ones that I really enjoy listening to is Smart Leaders Sell by Jessica Lorimer. So really, really useful. She does interviews, she does expert interviews, but she gives out so much information about how to get your sales right, whether you're, on a discovery call, whether you're building a funnel, whether you're approaching organizations. And they're about 25 minutes, 30 minutes long. So they're actually the perfect time for my workouts. But it just means I then have to get home really quickly to write down all the stuff that I've learned before I forget it. So that's a podcast that I would really recommend. And the book is, this is probably going to come out back to front, isn't it?
No,
but it's quite an old one. And it's the Chimp Paradox by Steve Peters. And it came out quite a few years ago now. But it was my first introduction really into how what's going on up here can stop you from progressing in your business, and your chimp mind, your monkey mind all the time is going, oh God, don't do that, that's really frightening, that's really scary, don't post that, suppose people don't like it, you're gonna, it's gonna make you really unpopular. And how learning to keep that monkey mind quiet so that you can continue to move forward in business and in life as well, really.
Okay, I know obviously the podcast.
Yeah.
Hello, Jess.
Yeah, hey, Jess.
I mean, Julie and I are both in the same communities. We're hosted by
super
Jess.
Fans.
And we are both in the Dotties, which is Jess's membership, and which is great. You should check it out, by the way. I would pop a link below. And but the other book sounds really interesting, and sometimes
so it's the Chimp Paradox by Steve Peters. And actually the guy who wrote it, Steve Peters, he eventually became the coach and trainer for the Olympic cycling team in the UK to help them with their mindset, and and that's how their cycling team became much more successful than it had been in the past, in 2012 I think it was.
That sounds really it's something really important, because even the most confident person sometimes can have this mind
doubt ourselves. Your kind of inner critic is going on at you the whole time. So, just stop doing that. It's stupid. Nobody will like you. And it's just like, no, do it. How will you know if nobody's going to like it unless you actually try?
Great. Both amazing resources. So thank you so much, Julie, for being with me today. It was a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. It's been good fun having a chat.
It was really a pleasure to learn more about what you do and how you ended up doing it. And really congrats for, keeping on with this battle of bringing menopause mainstream and like a known topic to everyone, because it's something everyone goes through, every woman goes through, and it affects other people, even if it directly doesn't affect men. They
are going to be either living with a menopausal woman, or they're going to be sitting next to one at work. So it's important that they need to know what's going on as well. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time, and
thank you.
I'll see you soon.
See you very soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.